even to this day, like when I see my mum cry, I'm kind of immune to it. Like I saw everything. So sorry, I don't really.
Hopefully a therapeutic healing process, all positive.
The real focus for us as a business was to make more famous work. And that was actually exactly the time that we launched Compare the Market, or Compare the Meerkat.
Okay.
Which was exactly at that time, going, how can we make work that stands out, that doesn't just work, but work that's famous, that people talk about?
There's no professional way of turning someone down, right? Because the moment that situation happens, you reject somebody, and there's no way of saving face for them in that relationship, because in effect they are being humiliated. There's always somebody older and much more senior, much more powerful.
As a lot of young mothers do, I was trying to be Superwoman. So I was trying to do everything all at the same time. I used to count the hours. I used to keep the children awake so that I could make sure that I spent more hours with them than, the nanny did, kind of thing.
Did you ever witness any of the physical
100%.
abuse that was happening?
Like for me, even to this day, like it's thingy. Even to this day, like when I see my mum cry, I'm kind of immune to it, which is weird, because I was the first one that was born here. Like I saw everything, so
It's okay.
sorry.
You want to take a minute?
No, I'm good.
You got any tissue?
No, I'm good still.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't really.
Right, it's hopefully a therapeutic healing process, all positive. And I think for people to hear maybe going through something similar, just to hear how you've dealt with this and it hasn't stopped you from going on and succeeding great things.
Yeah, I was the only one who saw all of it, so I didn't really. Yeah, like me and my sister, I have a little sister who's like 2 years younger than me. Literally, us two saw everything, and like there was times where like my mum would get like kicked out the house with me and my sister, and like we'd have to like walk in like the cold. Like it sounds like a mad sad story, but that's literally what happened. You get me? So it was just like, yeah, I'm at the point where like now I see my mum cry, and because I've seen her cry for so long, yeah, sometimes like I'm in that state of confusion, or like I freeze and just like I don't know what to say or do, kind of thing.
Do you think that's your like protective mechanism, your
yeah,
way
yeah,
of dealing with it?
100%. Like with my mum and dad's situation, like I've seen it all. So it was just, again, like I'm saying, I was just very, very confused, very aware of what's happening, and I thought it was all right. And even that's the stuff that kind of stuff influenced me in the wrong way, because like there was times like I was this angry person that would like just lash out and all that kind of stuff, and it definitely came from that stuff. And yeah, but again, in hindsight, you don't want to be like that, or you don't want to see your mum like that and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's the kind of things that fueled what I do now, in regards to like there was no other option. Like I had to become like the man of my house like very early. So again, part of my dad's decisions is again part of why I'm who I am.
Do you remember a moment? Was there a point where you're like, I'm gonna have to step up here, or it just happened?
For as long as I know, if I make money, it's not just my money. Even for me getting student loan, I made sure that I was giving some money back home to help out. Well, let's say my little brother's birthday parties and stuff, or let's say getting kickers for my brother. Like I would do what I can to make sure I'm contributing to help that. To this day, I still feel like I have to do that.
Looking back, if you could speak to yourself then, what would you say to yourself about how to deal with that situation?
I'll just say carry on working, man. I say carry on working. It's not always gonna yeah, it's not always going to be like this, I would say.
And so you're going through this at home. You know, you've had quite a big shake up, and you're still at school, of course.
Yeah.
How did that affect your kind of school life around those times as well?
And the real focus for us as a business was to make more famous work. And that was actually exactly the time that we launched Compare the Market, or Compare the Meerkat.
Okay.
Which was exactly at that time, going, how can we make work that stands out, that doesn't just work, but work that's famous, that people talk about.
Well, you certainly achieved that.
So, yes, so compare the Meerkat, which has run ever since. I mean, loads of people thought that was going to be a 6-month campaign. And it continues to this day. It was phenomenally effective campaign.
So Compare the Market became the 4th most visited insurance website in the UK as a result of the work VCCP did.
From basically a standing start. The story's quite interesting on Compare the Market. All price comparison websites are pretty much the same. There's no discernible difference. You know, they're sort of, you know, you can't touch them. You don't visit them in person. They're just search sites. So, you know, we tasked ourselves with giving it a personality, making it stand out. And to try and find the way to do that, one of the interesting things was the cost of your search term extremely high. Of Compare car insurance costs you a lot. But the word
rank highly on
your Google search. But Meerkat, so that's like £5. Meerkat was, no one was searching for meerkats. That was like 5p.
No one was searching it for then.
So basically flipping it round with that, what people thought was a pun but's been extremely enduring, was extremely cost-effective way. Because their search spend could be really low and they got vast traffic.
Because people were searching for Compared the Meerkat.
People just had Meerkat, yeah.
It's a very smart strategic
So it was a
move.
very smart way in and obviously executed brilliantly. And I had nothing to do with it, so I can't take the straps on that one.
But talking about effectiveness, in 2010, the website was receiving more than 2 million hits per month.
Yes. It was
and
phenomenal.
the site's overall sales doubled.
I mean, it was phenomenal commercial story for Compare the Market as a business, but culture is a cultural phenomenon. So, you know, Alexander Orlov, the Meerkat, his autobiography outsold Tony Blair's autobiography. You know,
this is a real book you can buy in the bookstore.
Absolutely.
For this
my sister
character.
bought me the book for Christmas, not knowing that my agency wrote the book. It was a cultural phenomenon. You know, I think at the time Alexander had more followers on. It's like the birth of Twitter, wasn't it? Alexander had more followers on Twitter than like Cheryl Cole and people like that. It was crazy.
Wow.
And still it still is. It's phenomenal.
Alexander even started a petition to add the word simples to the dictionary.
It's in the dictionary.
It is in the dictionary.
It is in the dictionary.
Amazing.
And the one of the other stats, you used to, every time you took out a policy, you'd get a toy, a little meerkat, a little puppy.
I was sent one of those actually.
And well, Compare the Market became after McDonald's Happy Meals, the biggest toy distributor in the whole of the UK, because they were shifting that many policies off the back of it. Wow. So that is it's a great demonstration of the power of creativity.
That's effective advertising right there.
Absolutely. But it's effective and creatively powerful, which is what you need as an agency. It's not just enough to do work that works. You need to do work that people are really proud of, because that's how you get your talent in. Because agencies are fundamentally, we're about people, we're about talent.
So about O2, which was your account,
Yes.
what you were brought in to thrive.
Yes.
What did you do? How did you make the impact that you wanted to?
In media, in advertising, there are always lots and lots and lots of social situations, lots of parties, lots of bars, lots of hanging out. The real kind of danger point for me, which I got really adept at handling, because you sort of see danger points and then try and extricate yourself from situations before they happen, is the old, you can see people are getting drunker and drunker and drunker, and then they're people that are used to behaving inappropriately and quite successfully with their female population, usually much, much, much more junior, much younger people. And the most dangerous situation which you get adept at handling is because there's no professional way of turning someone down, right? Because the moment that situation happens, you reject somebody, and there's no way of saving face for them in that relationship, because in effect they are being humiliated. And usually it would be somebody, it's always somebody older and much more senior, much more powerful.
Someone who can hire you, fire you,
Yeah,
promote
absolutely,
you.
absolutely. But that was part of the role back in the day. I mean, this was going back some. I mean, not too far back. I'm talking probably only 5 years ago, which is
Oh, wow.
crazy. So recent past.
But no doubt still happening to this very day and will happen.
Absolutely. Although being called out massively now, I think people are much more frightened of going there now, because there isn't the safety and security in their position, in their power. I mean, after Me Too, you'd be much, much more concerned about going there. But
What's your
it
advice?
still goes on.
Yeah, what are your advice or your tips for someone who could be finding themselves in these kind of environments and situations?
Yeah, I think that nowadays it's much more about speaking out. I think there's a lot more safety and security in speaking out than there was for me when I was in my 20s and 30s. Because speaking out then meant, casting your career aside. You could choose between calling somebody out and, continuing your career at that business, because, they would move if a more senior guy had an affair with a more junior woman, they'd just pay off the woman. Nowadays, there are so many more safety nets in place, and so many more sort of internal initiatives, employment laws. People are protected, but still it does happen. So it's not the responsibility of the victim, really, in these circumstances to prevent it from happening. It's never a bad thing to recognize when it is happening so that you can protect yourself. But now it is much more about having the confidence to actually speak out, because, if that person is directing that unwanted attention at one person, then they're not going to be the only person that it's directed at. So it's about stamping it out nowadays. But there wasn't that option in my day at all. So you had to handle things very carefully and as a team quite a lot of the time. Scary.
There's another, it doesn't end there. As a mother, you experienced the challenges with presenteeism.
As a lot of young mothers do, I was trying to be Superwoman. So I was trying to do everything all at the same time.
What was that like? Paint the picture for us of what was going on.
Well, I think it was quite stressful for everybody else. I mean, I was just, I think I felt very guilty the whole time that I wasn't giving enough to every part of my life, so that I wasn't spending enough time. I used to count the hours. I used to keep the children awake so that I could make sure that I spent more hours with them than the nanny did, kind of thing. Because we had a wonderful nanny, I have to say.
So you'd count the hours that you'd spent with them compared to the nanny?
Yeah, to make sure that I the balance was right.
Wow.
I obviously wasn't. I was barely speaking to my husband. He got very short shrift at that time. Although he was a saint, as he always is about it. I wasn't seeing friends. When I phoned my parents, my father would say, "Hello, stranger. Nice of you to call." And then I also felt the whole time like as though was I giving enough to work? Was I giving enough to the clients?
So it seems like in every area you're feeling like you're not giving enough of yourself.
Yeah.
How was that to deal with, like, mentally?
Well, I had a lot of help mentally. So, I will say now, therapy helps with that kind of thing, because I was, there's a great book for anybody who is in the same situation. And I read it at exactly the right time. And it's quite a difficult book to read. But when I read it and I reread it. And it's called Addicted to Perfection by a Jungian therapist called Marion Woodman. And she talks in it about the archetype, and it's not an uncommon archetype, of women who are constantly trying to please, a father who is difficult to please in their head. And that makes them very alpha orientated at work. It makes them try to achieve the impossible the whole time. And it makes them intolerant of things that are messy. And the fact is that life is messy. And when you have small children, literally, it's quite messy, you know. And I was advised by somebody to consider meditation. And so I started it then, and I meditate still now for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, depending on the day, every morning. And I would recommend that to anybody. And, you know, people sometimes go, oh, I've tried it, but I wasn't very good at it. It's like, there's no such thing as that. You can't not be good at it. It's kind of like, if you're lying there and you're allowing yourself to feel safe in that moment and to breathe, you know, use breathing techniques, you know, and I like candles. And it's now as common a practice to me as cleaning my teeth. So just as I wouldn't come out without cleaning my teeth, I wouldn't come out without finding those 10, 15 minutes. And I remember saying to somebody, and I've given this advice to other people. I don't know if you guys meditate or but you know, sometimes people go, I haven't got time. And when I said that to the person that recommended it to me, she said, if you really can't find 10 minutes for yourself in the day, then you've got a world of problems. And that's all you need, right?
It's so true. It really does buy you back time in the day. How much time does it cost you to make a mistake, make an error?
Yeah.
You know, make a say the wrong thing, and suddenly you're giving yourselves maybe days of problems.
Yeah.
Because you didn't take that 10, 15 minutes to just pause and be present.